Moderate action, 5 or 6 gear ratio.
Fast action, 7 or 8 gear.
Slow roll.
Burn, burn, pause.
Slow
Burn,
roll.
burn, pause.
Before you go any further, are you subscribed? Subscribe to Monster Bass. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that red button. It's easy. Ah! It's cake. Hooks are sharp. Youch. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Monster Bass channel. I am Oklahoma's worst angler. And today what we're going to be talking about is what I think is going to be best for you if you're going out there and throwing a squarebill. And the proper equipment, the rod, the reel, the line to use. That's what I'm going to be talking to you guys about today. Now, first off, we got to highlight the squarebill in the November month's box. This is the Excite Baits XB1. Check out the paint on this. So our buddy Zach Messer, he came up with this paint, okay? He came up with this paint. He sent the design off to Excite Baits, and what they did is they mass-produced it onto this squarebill, on this one right here. The only thing is, you're not going to get this anywhere else but the Monster Bass box. So, if you haven't picked one up yet, Fall Bluegill, Excite Baits XB1, highlighted squarebill this month in the box. Now, that's actually, I don't want to throw this one very much because it is so pretty and because I've already lost one. So, you know, it's squarebills and ponds sometimes, you know, don't match. So let's talk about how to hopefully avoid that stuff. So say you're going out to a brand new pond and you don't know what kind of structure is in there. You have no way of knowing. You're on the bank. You have no fish finder. You have no graph. You can't, cast something out there and take a look. Best way to do it, first off, break down the water using like a Texas rig. Okay, bury that hook point in there and fan cast out. Drag that Texas rig along and find out what you're working with. If you got a lot of grass in there, if you got a lot of branches, a lot of brush, whatever it may be, okay? That is the best way to go about attacking a new body of water, especially if you're gonna be throwing a squarebill. Because when you are throwing crankbaits like this that are diving, those treble hooks, they will hang up on just about everything, okay? So you don't wanna go in there blind and you don't wanna lose a squarebill like I did. That's my only tip for today, talking about throwing these guys. So now, let's talk about textbook and saying what you should do and how you should throw squarebill, throw crankbaits. You need a moderate action rod. You need a 5 to 6 gear ratio reel. You need to be throwing, like 10 to 12 pound fluorocarbon. Okay? In different areas of the country, that's going to work. But in other areas of the country, that's not going to work. So let's break this down. So if you are fishing, say, a body of water that is a lot of grass, okay? Not as much structure, but a lot of grass. You're not going to want a moderate action rod. And the reason I say that, when we're talking about a moderate action rod, what you're gonna have, this is not a moderate action rod, but I just kind of want to use this as an example to show you guys here. So you got the length of the rod here. In a moderate action rod, that rod is going to start loading more towards the bottom of that blank, about 2/3 of the way down, okay? That's where it's gonna start loading. Obviously, this is not a moderate action rod. Now, the reason I say you don't want that for the grassier lakes or the grassier bodies of water is if you want to rip that squarebill through the grass, that moderate action is not gonna give the kind of snap or unload in that rod tip that's gonna help that squarebill just kind of rip through there. A moderate action is a much softer tip. It's going to load further back, which typically is good for your treble hook baits. But again, grassier bodies of water, I say go with a moderate fast to a fast action. So it's good to know your equipment. It's good to know your rod and to know what your moderate fast or your fast action rod is going to feel like when you are snapping it through there. Okay, that is going to be better for you when you are fishing grassier lakes, especially, like I said, if you want to rip that through. Now, where a moderate action rod will come into play. Moderate action rod is going to be a lot better for you in, deeper water, less structure, less stuff to get hung up on. Because what that rod is going to do when it loads, it's going to load perfectly. It's going to allow that fish to do most of the work, and those treble hooks are going to get ripped right in there, or get stuck right in there, not ripped. Still talking about ripping stuff out. But moderate action rod, when you're throwing crankbaits, deeper water, more open water, typically is the way that you want to go. But not everybody has, that ability to go and select a rod, whether it be a moderate action or a fast action, anything like that. A lot of us kind of fish with the same rod for just about everything. So these are things to keep in mind. Now, talking about reels. People say that for crankbaits, you want to have a slower gear ratio so you can really just kind of slowly crank that along, okay? There are times of the year where you want to be burning a squarebill. We've all heard it from Tactical Bass and Burn Pause. Have you ever tried burning a crankbait or burning a bait on a 5-gear ratio reel? It doesn't burn. It's more like a jog, okay? It doesn't sprint, it jogs. So there are times where that slower gear ratio is going to help out. But me personally, I like to throw my crankbaits on a 7-gear. That's just me personally. I'm able to slow down my cranking. Okay, I'm able to slow it down. A lot of people will say you don't get quite the same cadence or the same action by slowing your reel down. I've never noticed a difference, and the fish I've caught have never noticed a difference either. But do you have to have a dedicated crankbait setup? You don't technically need to. When it comes to having multiple rods, multiple reels, all these different options, it's not a necessity. It is 100% a luxury, but you don't have to have all those different things. So let's break it down again. If you're fishing more grassy lakes that are a little more shallow, I do recommend using a moderate fast to a fast action rod. Reel speed, totally dependent on you. I personally like 7-gear. I think 7-gear is perfect. Sometimes I'll throw a 6-gear on some crankbaits. Usually on my deep divers. That's when I'll use, a slower gear ratio. But that's neither here nor there because we're talking about squarebill. On more open water, more open, a little bit deeper, less structure, go with a moderate action. That's it. Simple as that. The reels, whatever. If you guys have any questions for me, as far as crankbaits, as far as squarebills, as far as what rod to get, what reel to get, what line to use, anything like that, feel free to reach out to me on my channel, Oklahoma's Worst Angler. Reach out to me on Instagram. And I just recently started a TikTok. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that yet. But yeah, there's an Oklahoma's Worst Angler on TikTok. And follow me there, I suppose. Who knows what's going to go on there. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate every single one of you. And I'll see you next time we're on the water.